Hello all and welcome to another video of mine. Today we'll be looking at how to create a basic function in Microsoft Visual C++. I'll put a link to it below. Basically, it's just a basic programming program that's very visual. Let's go ahead and create a new project. Now we're not going to create any of these other fancier projects here. We're going to create a console project, because that's where most of the beginning learning stuff goes. And we're going to call this YouTube, if I can spell, project. Because, well, I'm doing this on YouTube, and it's a project, so YouTube project works. You'll be coming with a splash screen. Just ignore this first page. We're going to have it as an empty project, so go ahead and click that. So we go ahead and we got run into this blank thing right here. We're going to add a new item, and that item is going to be a .cpp. .cpp is basically a code file. That's all you need to know. That's all I need to know. Done. And we're going to call this main because it's our main file, and it's good practice to call it main. So we're going to type in, we're going to include everything that we're going to do right now is from the IOStream, which is basically the most standard library you can get. Not everything uses it, and we're going to use the standard namespace library by typing in like that. And then our main function is going to be called int main. It's always going to be, basically all functions are going to be main int. Every project basically has a int main that's console, because it needs to return a 0. 0 signifies success, 1 signifies failure. And in the int main, we are gonna have people type in variables, and then we're gonna spit them out to a different function and have it return something else, and then we're gonna display it on the main screen. Basically, you want just very basic things going on in the main function. Everything else, like any actual functions like randomizing a variable, randomizing a whole list of variables, or anything like that, should go in two different functions. And if you're more advanced, into different files, but that's quite a ways down the road. So let's go ahead and create an int. And we're going to have this as a user input. User input. We're not going to declare right away, because in C++ we don't have to declare things immediately. Declaring, what I mean is, well, int user, okay, that's a variable, and then we're going to declare that equal to 0. We don't have to do that. We're not going to do that because we're going to make sure the user puts in something into that variable. And we're going to have our own variable of ours. And this is the secret to this. It is our number that we're going to pass into somewhere else to make it do something else with that variable that the user put in. Now, we're just going to make it 9. That's going to be our variable that we're going to use to modify other things in this function. Now, we're going to have the user put in things after being prompted to do so. In order to make things display on the console, which right now we actually don't have. Oops, we got Control F5 is the shortcut to get to this. Nothing displays. It just says press any key to continue, which is the default for it, just ending it. So it doesn't actually do anything. So we want to do something. We want the user to know what to do. So first we're going to say C, which is computer, and I'm going to type in out. So we're going to display something on the monitor. And we're shoving into that function. I'm going to use a lot of shoving into terms, because that's what we're doing. That's what programming is. We're shoving one thing into another. Yeah. So we're going to say, we're going to shove into that function, type in a int. Please. And then space, just bit of practice, and then semicolon to end the line. You always have to have semicolons, otherwise the computer won't know when to stop reading. It will just go on endlessly. So if you do that, we look at it, and now it says, please type in a variable or integer, please. As you can see, this press any line to press any key to continue is still there. In fact, if we wanted to put that on the next line, we just say end L, which stands for end line. There's other ways to, oops, sorry guys, wrong button again, to do that, but that's one I've always done. Makes it the most clear. But for now, we're going to remove that. And we're going to have them actually type in something now. So we're going to have user input. No, wait, sorry, this is wrong. We're going to have computer in, which basically any input. In this sense, it's going to be the computer. And we're going to have that input shoved into the user input variable. So what that does, and type in an int, please. I type in an int, and it succeeded. Now you can type in other things that aren't an int, but that won't go so nice for you. In fact, most of the time, will end up making your program completely fail. Okay, see, and okay, now that we got that done, we're going to display what they typed, just so they can get some verification. You typed this, and then we're going to have it print out the number, user input. And in case you guys are wondering, which you probably are, these things here separate variable types. So we're printing out this, and then we're gonna also, oops, print out this, and we're gonna also print out this. So that's what that does. Now for changing a variable, we could always do it in here, inside this function, but we're not going to do that. We're actually doing this. We're going to actually create a new function, and we're going to pre-declare it as an int. It's going to return an int, and we're going to call it what we do, because that's what we do best. And then we're going to return, no wait, and we're shoving into it an integer and another integer, and then end the line. Alright, and then we're going to have, in this function, we're going to declare a new variable called changed number. And we're not going to have to define this right now. We're going to define it down here. Changed number is equal to what we do, and then we're going to have the user number, so user input, and then our number. The order matters a lot, and if you lose track of this order, you're going to be completely screwed. So it's going to be really good to make variable names very clear. So here we're going to define what we do. What we do. Now we're returning an int. We're also shoving in two ints. One int is going to be called A. The other int is going to be called B. And in case you're wondering why were we declaring these things, because variables don't go between scope. This here is a scope. It's part of the scope of main. And we're creating a new scope that's part of what we do. And so we're going to have A is equal to A times B. So A times B is then shoved back into A. It doesn't work that A is equal to A, so it goes into infinite loop, it makes infinity. That's not what happens. It's A times B is shoved into A afterwards. So after that's done, we can then return our magical number that we came up with. And we're going to return B, or A. Yes, A. In this case, it doesn't matter what we're returning. Actually, what I normally do would be a temp variable. This is a variable that will be temporary. And we're going to actually have us return this. Oops, forgot to declare it as an integer. Now, This here serves the same function as this. The only difference is, after this line is completed, we don't lose what's the data that's inside A. So it's actually better practice to create temporary variables. So now afterwards, we're going to return, instead of A, we're going to return that temporary variable. And after that, that's all we're going to do. That's all we're going to do in this function. Now, you can do a whole variety of things, like I said before. You can just mess with numbers all you want, all day long, depending on what you want to do. But we're just going to change basic variables, depending on what the user inputted. So now we're going to put out our results. What we got, see, we changed your number, and then we're going to type in the number, just for clarification, user input to, and then we're going to type in our number, which we changed to change number. Oops, and then we're going to have inline. So now, instead of having just that, we're going to have a bunch more things. I'm going to say, you type this, and then we change that. Oops, sorry, put that down here. You type this, and make sure you type that. And then, see these two things apply. This, okay, we change your number to 5. We change your number 5 to 45, because we multiplied it by 9. There are many, this is the basic functionality of a program. You'll be doing a lot of this type of thing in programming. Don't expect it to be too much more than this. It's going to be a hell of a lot more complicated ways of doing this. But that's that. The reason why I made this video, even though it's short, it kind of helps you guys understand what programming is about if you're new to it. I guess that should have been in the beginning of the video, but if you stuck around this long, well then, I guess you actually needed this information. So I will be doing more. I will be doing more advanced as we go along. I might go back and do more basic variables or basic videos to replace some of my crappier ones. But until next time, good luck and have